Yes. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the floor. I'd like to thank you all. It's a great panel. It's a great experience and an opportunity to be here listening to all of you and seeing how countries which have gone through similar situation to ours have finally been successful and managed to get their independence. So for us, you are our hope and you resemble, and we look at you and say, one day, inshallah, we'll be able to also to get our independence. One day, we'll see. Well, taking advantage of the quite extensive presentations that we've already had here, I will speak a little bit about the situation and the daily life of our people, west and east of the berm. It's worth here to recall what the mission dispatched to Western Sahara and the refugee camps near Tindouf by the High Commissioner for Human Rights in 2006, that said in its conclusions, and I quote, "As has been stated in various UN fora, the right to self-determination for the people of Western Sahara must be ensured and implemented without any further delay. As underlined above, the delegation concludes that almost all human rights violations and concerns with regard to the people of Western Sahara, whether under the de facto authority of the government of Morocco or of the Polisario Front, stem from the non-implementation of this fundamental right. More than 50 years after the United Nations General Assembly decided that the declaration on the granting of independence to colonial countries and peoples should apply to the people of the non-self-governing territory of Western Sahara, the majority of the territory is under the illegal occupation of the Kingdom of Morocco that both the United Nations General Assembly and the United Nations Security Council have condemned. While the Security Council constantly calls upon the Kingdom of Morocco and the Polisario Front to resume negotiations without preconditions and in good faith, the occupying power openly declares that it considers the occupied territory, so our land, already being part of its own territory, and indeed, the Kingdom has already integrated this illegal assumption in the national legal framework. The most evident and manifestation of this position is the presence of a number of parliamentarians in the Moroccan parliament elected from the non-self-governing territory of Western Sahara. The direct consequence is that nobody can freely argue publicly about the legal status of Western Sahara, either in the Kingdom of Morocco or in the non-self-governing territory, without being accused to attempt to the integrity of the territory of the Kingdom and being brought to justice in accordance with the newly adopted Article 275E of the Moroccan Penal Code, which means that Moroccan journalists and media apply strict self-censorship when dealing with the issue of Western Sahara. Some internationally well-known journalists have actually chosen to go into exile in Western countries. Sahrawi human rights defenders and organizations are routinely victim of the repression of the Moroccan authorities. Harassment, arbitrary arrest and detention, torture are commonly experienced by those defending the right to self-determination and by the members of their families, so their relatives too. Peaceful manifestations advocating for the inalienable right to self-determination and independence, often held by women, are systematically forbidden or violently dispersed. The illegal integration by the Moroccan authorities of Western Sahara into the Kingdom's legislation poses also a serious threat to the independence of the Moroccan judiciary institutions and to the independence of the lawyers. As the ongoing trial of the Pacific demonstrators of Denizig that our Minister Sidati mentioned before has recently shown and is still taking place right now, judges have to disregard the internationally recognized legal status of Western Sahara. Moroccan and Sahrawi lawyers have to avoid raising the issue if they don't want to be accused in turn of undermining the territorial integrity of the Kingdom. That's why the accused had to involve French lawyers to play their case. The peaceful manifestation of Denizig held by thousands of Sahrawi only intended to attract the international community's attention on the dramatic conditions of the Sahrawi people on their own land. We have some people here, we have the pleasure and the honor to have some people here who have taken place in these manifestations, okay? One of the people that we have here actually is part of the prisoners, okay, that are condemned And I hope that some of you can have the opportunity to talk to him personally. He's among us here today. And I would like that many of you take advantage and take an interview with him and listen to the real stories, okay, that happened, and not the ones that the Moroccan government wants us to believe. So, Western Sahara is the only non-self-governing territory that has not an internationally recognized administering power reporting annually to the General Assembly in accordance with the Article 73 of the United Charter. From the economic perspective, the non-implementation of UNGA Resolution 1514, that has already been mentioned here several times, implies that the Kingdom of Morocco continues to illegally plunder the natural resources of the Sahrawi people without the free, prior and informed consent expressed by the only internationally recognized representative of the territory, which is the Polisario Front, as you all know by now. In this context, I have to express the Sahrawi National Commission for Human Rights' very deep concern about the European Union Commission's attitude after the European Court of Justice decided on the 21st of December 2016 that the association agreement and the liberalization agreement between the European Union and Morocco are not applicable to Western Sahara. We call upon all European member states and the European Union itself to comply with the court's judgment and to abide the European Union and international law. We call upon, in particular, France, Spain, Germany, Belgium, and Portugal to part with their ancient colonialist policies and to truly engage for the implementation of UNGA Resolution 1514 in our country, Western Sahara. Believe me, we deserve to enjoy the fundamental human rights as much as any other European, African, Asian, basically any other human being all over the world. The economic development of Western Sahara displayed by the Moroccan authorities was originally and is still today accompanied by a massive transfer of Moroccan population into the occupied part of the non-self-governing territory, a practice that is formally forbidden by the Geneva Conventions. In concrete terms, this economic development is not the result of the Sahrawi society decision, and in fact, the Sahrawi people do not benefit from it at all. On the contrary, almost all Sahrawi people are undereducated and underemployed because of this policy. The non-implementation of UNGA Resolution 1514 allows the occupying power to perpetuate a policy of weakening of the Sahrawi educational system and to force Sahrawi youth aspiring to higher education to expatriate either to the Kingdom of Morocco or elsewhere abroad. There are two major economic sectors that the occupying power has developed in Western Sahara: fishery and the phosphate extraction. Actually, all Sahrawi fishermen have lost their fishing license, which are being given to major Moroccan and foreign companies, which are exploiting our wind power resources in our coast. The phosphate industry is directly controlled by the King of Morocco's companies, which deal with foreign transnational companies. The Sahrawi people neither decided to develop these activities nor they benefit from such development again. On the contrary, the repression exerted by the Kingdom of Morocco and the refusal to organize a free referendum in Western Sahara is directly linked to the economic and financial interest of the royal family in the non-self-governing territory. This is one of the main reasons why the occupying power is constantly blocking the decolonization process in Western Sahara, perpetuating the separation of almost all Sahrawi families and dramatically affecting the traditional social structure of our people. The blockade of the decolonization process seriously affects the living conditions and the human rights of over 150,000 Sahrawi refugees in the territories around Tindouf. In this context, the Sahrawi National Commission for Human Rights denounces the recent election of the Kingdom of Morocco, the only occupying power of a non-self-governing territory, as Vice President of the Fourth Commission of UN General Assembly. We consider that this political decision is fundamentally contradicting the spirit of the United Nations Charter. In conclusion, the Sahrawi National Commission for Human Rights takes this opportunity to call upon the High Commissioner for Human Rights in two main things. To resume the technical mission at least east of the Burman in the refugee camps around Tindouf, and to report to the Human Rights Council on the human rights situation of the Sahrawi people, as well as to implement a specific support program for our Human Rights National Commission and the Sahrawi NGOs working on human rights in conformity with UNGA resolution on the implementation of the Declaration on the Granting of Independence to colonial countries and peoples, as well as with ECOSOC resolution on the support to non-self-governing territories by the specialized agencies and international institutions associated with the United Nations. And just to finish as well, I told you before that Hassan Ali is with us today here, and he will be here for the whole session, so you've got plenty of days to talk to him. Just to take you back to the very beginning of the meeting, where we had the opportunity to watch this short documentary, which is called Millet, which means I'm fed up. That is the situation that we live in right now. We have among us, as Sidati mentioned before, Mina Ba'li. Mina Ba'li is one of those women that you can see in that video where they are every day basically just grabbed from their hair or clothes or anything and have to suffer day by day the oppression, violent, not peaceful, violent oppression by the Kingdom of Morocco and all the people who are representing them in our country. We are oppressed in our country. We don't have freedom of speech. We don't have freedom to be ourselves. Our identity basically just wants to be deleted, okay? Not existing anymore. So I would like to strongly call you, all of you, to please, please keep working as you all are doing to try to gain and manage to get the power for our self-determination. And I am with our colleague from Timor-Leste saying that we are all the time maybe mentioning Morocco, but we cannot forget Spain's responsibility, and we cannot forget how Spain should really be taking its place, okay, as former colony. And that's all. Thank you very, very much for your time.